Welcome back, everybody, to the PNR Show. That's right, we are back. It's been a couple weeks. I had the flu. I was sick, so I wasn't able to react to the College Football National Championship game, but we are back, and as you can see by the title, we're talking NFL, and we're talking the Super Bowl, the big game, the Seahawks, and the Patriots. But before we talk about that, how about the Indiana Hoosiers? Curt Cignetti in year 2 wins a national championship. I mean, if that doesn't tell you how great of a sport college football is, I don't know what does. It was an incredible game. Miami fought to the very end. It was just a great game. Carson Beck, you hate to see him lose like that, but what a special showing. Credit to the Hoosiers fans for showing up to Miami and taking over that stadium. And what a season. What a season it was. That was the perfect ending to a great season, and I already can't wait for next year. We're going to talk more in the offseason about college football, and we're going to dive into the transfer portal and stuff like that and what's happened. But for now, we're talking the Super Bowl, the biggest game on planet Earth, maybe besides the World Cup final. But still, at least in America, the biggest game all year long, the Seahawks and the Patriots. Who would have thought? But before we get into that, go ahead and, as always, click the subscribe button on YouTube, follow on Spotify, rate and review us on there, and then share this with your family and friends. We also have an Instagram that's at the PNR Show. That's at the PNR Show. If you could follow on there and then, go ahead and repost our videos, share them, that'd be greatly appreciated. But let's get into it. The Seahawks, the Seattle Seahawks, and the New England Patriots meet once again for the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 60. The Hawks are 4.5-point favorites, and it's really no surprise that how dominant they've been all season. I want to say what an NFL season it's been. I know we haven't talked about it on here, but this has really been an up and down season. One full of parity, one full of hurt, one full of excitement. It has been just such a thrill to watch from the preseason all the way to now. And I can't wait to see how it ends in Santa Clara. Obviously, the first thing when you think of these two teams, the Seahawks and the Patriots, is Super Bowl XLIX. I mean, Patriots 28, Seahawks 24. Obviously, the 1-yard line. Russell Wilson throws an interception. Oh, they should have ran the ball. Yeah, they should have ran the ball. But hey, this is a chance for Seattle to get their revenge in a new era with Sam Darnold, with Mike Macdonald. This isn't the Seahawks of old, and this certainly isn't the Patriots of old. These are two completely new teams and new potential dynasties, and I can't wait for it. It's a 6:30 p.m. kickoff in Santa Clara, California. It's going to be a great one. The vibes are going to be incredible. It's an outdoor stadium. Just can't wait for it. Bad Bunny, halftime show, whether you like it or not, that's going to be interesting to see. But the way we're going to format this episode, we're going to talk about each team. We're going to give their strengths, their weaknesses, and then each team's keys to victory in this game. I don't want to pick this game just yet. Maybe I'll pick it on Instagram later, but I really just want to dive in to these two teams, and I really want to detail how these two teams can win and how they can lose and what the season's been like so far for each of these teams. Let's start with the Seattle Seahawks, obviously led by head coach Mike Macdonald. He's been great in his second year with the Seahawks after going 10-7 last year. I mean, you think about for a second-year coach to make it to the Super Bowl, Mike Macdonald, he's done an incredible job, and he did it with Geno Smith last year and going 16-3 this year. Guess who he does it with? Sam Darnold. By the way, Sam Darnold joins Tom Brady as the only quarterback to have back-to-back 14-win seasons. Sam Darnold. I mean, his legacy has been completely reshaped. You think about him with the Jets. A top 3 pick, top 5 pick, set to change that franchise, set to be their savior, their new quarterback one, take over in the AFC East, and he just could never do it. He can never get going, and granted, he never had help around him. And then he gets shipped off to Carolina, and as he said, that was the lowest point in his career. And then he goes to Minnesota. Well, actually, he went to the 49ers, and people forget, but he went to the Super Bowl with the 49ers. Obviously, he was the backup to Brock Purdy, but he's been here before. He knows at least what the travel is like, what the little things are like, and he's seen how this game can shape out. But again, with the Vikings, last year, wins 14 games, and he was incredible. He completely revitalized his career, and now he is certainly etched in stone as, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. There's no longer a narrative, and you can't say that, he's just the old Sam Darnold. Well, no, he's a completely new quarterback now. He is. And he has led this team to a great season and has led this offense, one of the best offenses in the NFL. In the playoffs, they scored 41 versus the 49ers. They won that game 41-6 in dominant fashion, and right from the opening kickoff where they took it back for a touchdown, it was never even close. And that was really the first aspect of seeing this team can certainly win the Super Bowl. I think throughout the regular season, people were saying, okay, can Sam Darnold really win the Seahawks a Super Bowl? Can Mike Macdonald really get it done? I know they're a great defense. I know they have Jackson Smith and Jigba and great players on offense, but can Sam Darnold really get it done? Well, he can, and he showed that against the 49ers. At home, by the way, Lumen Field, the best atmosphere in the whole NFL. It's just incredible. And then they play the Rams, and things get dicey. But Sam Darnold and the Hawks find a way to win. And that's what they've done all season long. They've just found ways to win. They found ways to get their playmakers the ball. They found ways to create turnovers. They found ways, even when they have their own turnovers, to just win. Sam Darnold against the Rams went 25 for 36, 346 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Against the 49ers, he really didn't have to do much. His defense created turnovers and scored. His special teams scored. He didn't have to do a whole lot. But in this game against the Rams, he was asked to go win his team the game, and he did. He was efficient. He took care of the ball. He got it off in time. He got it off quickly. And he got it to the right guy, Jackson Smith and Jigba, who had 10 receptions, 153 yards, and a touchdown in that game. Jackson Smith and Jigba, in my opinion, is probably the best receiver in the NFL. And honestly, it might not even be close. I think it's between him and Puka Nacua. But what JSN does, his ability to get open, his ability to catch the ball no matter where it is, his range of motion, it's just incredible. And he's been this way ever since high school. Coming up, he was a highly touted recruit and then goes to Ohio State. And as soon as he got on the field, remember him against Utah in the Rose Bowl? And he goes off for 200 yards? He has been that way his entire career. And he is going to be the difference for them in this game. Jackson Smith and Jigba is unstoppable. And the question isn't how can you stop him? It's how much can you limit him? Can you stop him from going crazy? Because I think that's possible. But it isn't possible to completely shut him down. He's just too shifty. He's too quick. His releases are too good, and he has too good of hands. Even if you double team him, he's going to get open eventually. Even if, you're right there in phase with him, Sam Darnold does a great job of being accurate with Jackson Smith and Jigba and putting it where only JSN can get it. But at the same time, if it's one-on-one, it's not a 50-50 ball. It's really like a 70-30 ball with JSN. And the crazy part is he's not tall at all. He's not like this big physical receiver like Julio Jones or these other receivers or like Puka Nacua even. He's a smaller guy. He's like 6 foot, maybe 6'1". He's not the fastest receiver. Remember, at the NFL Combine, he didn't even run the 40-yard dash. All he did was the Combine drills. And people knew, okay, this isn't the fastest receiver. But, man, Ohio State produces receivers, and he might be the best out of all of them. He really might be, and I think he is. And so let's talk about the strengths and the weaknesses for the Seahawks. Strength. Well, it's obviously their defense. It's something we haven't talked about yet, but they had the number one scoring defense in the NFL throughout the regular season and through the playoffs, only allowing 17.2 points per game. Bill Belichick and other great coaches have once said that if you can allow less than 20 points per game, that's an elite defense. And that's true, certainly in the modern day of the NFL. If you can only allow less than 20 points per game, all you got to do is score 3 touchdowns and you win. That's it. They've gone 27 straight games without allowing an 100-yard rusher. I mean, just think about that. 27 straight. That's 2.5 seasons. And they've played CMC. They've played Javonte Williams. They've played Saquon Barkley. They've played all these great running backs and have not allowed a single 100-yard rusher in almost 30 NFL games. Incredible. That defense is led by Devon Witherspoon, Nick Emmanwori, and Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams I've been really impressed with because he does a great job of being physical. He does a really good job of attacking the hands, attacking the weaknesses of other offensive lines, and he's just a disruptor inside. If you try to run the ball against him, he just swallows up space. And that's why they haven't had an 100-yard rusher in so long. And then on the back end, Devon Witherspoon, all-pro type guy, and same with Nick Emmanwori. Emmanwori can fly around the field, and he can be anywhere, and no matter where he needs to be, he's going to get it done. And then you put the ball in the air against this defense, they're going to make you pay. They force turnovers. They fly around the field. They don't miss tackles. They do an incredible job. And even though they let up 27 points against the Rams is really the only offense who has been successful against them. And that's because the Rams offense is so elite. Now, the Patriots offense is elite. We do know this. And while they've struggled in the playoffs, the Patriots do have and did have in the regular season, a top 3 offense in the NFL. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the Seahawks defense with Mike Macdonald calling the plays, credit to him. Being the head coach and then calling plays at the same time, it's something that some people have had success with, but not a lot have. It's really hard and it takes a strain on you. Because if you think about it, you're going throughout the season and you're going throughout practices and you have to spend all this time with one specific part of your team. And all that time is not spent with the other side. And so Mike Macdonald doesn't really get to be around the offense day in and day out. But he's done a great job calling plays defensively. He's had the best defense all year long. And the crazy part is they do it without really rushing the passer all too well. We talk about great defenses like the Broncos and the Texans who get after the quarterback and sack the quarterback. And while the Seahawks have been good at getting after the quarterback, they haven't been great. But this defense is just solid. They don't make mistakes. They don't. And so that's certainly a strength for the Seattle Seahawks. Their weakness, I think they've got 2. And I'll give 2 for each team. I think turnovers is one. Even though they haven't committed any turnovers in the playoffs, Sam Darnold, that is. Sam Darnold led all quarterbacks this season with 20 turnovers. Throughout the regular season, remember, he started off really hot and then he kind of slowed down a little bit. Teams started to pick him apart and start to see what he's doing. A lot of times he gets stuck on one receiver. A lot of times that receiver is JSN. And then he forces passes, or sometimes he's not the most accurate. He also fumbles the ball quite a bit. And so only the Vikings have committed more turnovers than the Seahawks in the regular season. And so that's something that obviously in the Super Bowl, in the biggest game, you got to take care of the football. If you commit turnovers, that's the killer. That does it. Season's over. They've got to take care of the football, and that's something that they have not been able to do throughout the season. However, like I said, in the playoffs, Sam Darnold hasn't had a single turnover, not an interception, not a fumble. He's taken care of the ball. He's done a really great job of getting it to where he needs to. There's been times where maybe he's a little bit inaccurate, but it hasn't caused him to turn the ball over. It hasn't. And then the other weakness for the Seahawks is the interior offensive line. This is a really young offensive line. This is one of the youngest, if not the youngest, in the NFL. Their oldest player on the offensive line is their right tackle, Abraham Lucas, who has been decent for them this season. And he's only 27 years old. They have Gray Zabel, who's a rookie, Jalen Sundell, who's in his third season, and Anthony Bradford, who's in his second season. And that interior offensive line has kind of struggled throughout the year. They haven't really been able to run the ball up the middle a lot. A lot of their runs are to the outside and to trying to create space through that, whether it's to the right tackle or to the left tackle. But they have a really young interior offensive line. And that's one of the strengths for the New England Patriots. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but what they do is rush on the inside. And so that's going to have to be something for the Seahawks where they figure it out in this game. Because obviously the Patriots are going to attack Gray Zabel. They're going to attack Jalen Sundell. And they're going to attack Bradford, who, let's face it, has not been good at all this season. He hasn't. And so the weaknesses for the Seahawks, turnovers in their interior offensive line, but their strength is their defense. How about the Patriots in this one? How about the Patriots all season long? How about the Patriots turnaround? Incredible. The New England Patriots are back to the Super Bowl. Who would have thought? This team went 3-14 last year. 3-14. They fire their head coach after 1 year, Gerard Mayo, and then they hire the old player, the old guy, the fired from the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel. If you don't know who Mike Vrabel is, he played under Bill Belichick. He was a linebacker. He was incredible. And he's just always had a mind for the game. And then, obviously, coached the Tennessee Titans. And he did an incredible job for the Tennessee Titans. Remember, he not only turned them around, but he led them to the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback. Ryan Tannehill. Mike Vrabel has always been a great coach, and this proves it. You know, he's going to win Coach of the Year this year, and rightfully so. The Patriots are 17-3 this year, which is the quickest single-season turnaround since the 1999 Rams. The greatest show on turf, who the Patriots beat, remember, back in 2000. But Mike Vrabel has led this team to a 14-game turnaround. It's incredible. And obviously, a huge part of that is Drake May. Drake May, second season as the new quarterback for New England, and he is taken off. And it is impressive, and it is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. I mean, he has led this offense. He has led one of the best offenses in the NFL. He's second in MVP odds. He was a second-team All-Pro. He leads the NFL in completion percentage and quarterback rating. And he just gets it done. He is their guy for the future. And, man, for the Patriots to find another one just like that. I mean, it's been, 6 years? 6 years since they've been to the playoffs. And already, they have their guy. Drake May is one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. He can run the football. He's one of the best runners. He's physical. He's smart. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and he's only going to get better. He's going to win an MVP eventually in his career. And, who knows if he wins it this year? I think Matthew Stafford will win it, but he's going to get one. And now he has a chance as a second-year quarterback to win the Super Bowl in the same fashion that Tom Brady did in his second year. In the playoffs, the Patriots have been great. They've been great. They have found ways to win, and that's something they've done all season long. They haven't blown teams out, and they haven't exactly been dominant, but then you look up and you look at their record, and you're like, wow, this team is good. They've won 3 games in a row against top 5 defenses, all in the playoffs. They played the Chargers, who has a great pass rush and a great defense. They won that game. They played the Texans, forced, 5 turnovers, won that game, and then they played the Broncos and found a way to win in that game. How about Drake May when he, at 3rd and 5 to win the football game? Everyone's running to the right and thinks it's a stretch to the right. And what does he do? He calls his own number. He tucks it. And he runs to the left. And it's just him and one man. And he beats him. And it's a first down. Drake May and the Patriots go to the Super Bowl. And they played that game at Denver. And I get, they played Jarrett Stidham. And, I get that. But the fashion that they won it in, 5 inches of snow is insane. And in a literal blizzard. And to just get it done, it shows the resolve of the Patriots and the resolve that they've had all year. They haven't allowed more than 16 points in all 3 playoff games, which is impressive. Insanely impressive, especially when you think about the quarterbacks that they played in the first 2. And, you think about, we talked about it with the Seahawks, but what do they let up? 17.2 points per game. And if you can allow less than 20 in a game, chances are you're going to win. And the Patriots have done that 3 times in a row. And so the strengths for the Patriots, well, first off, it's Drake May. We just talked about that, but it's Drake May. He is their guy. He is the guy. If the Patriots are going to win this football game, Drake May has to win MVP. Drake May has to be the superhero. He has to be the guy he's been all season long. They have to put it on his back, and he has to get it done. And he has done it all season long. He has been their guy. And when they need a big play, they need him. And he is certainly their strength. And their other strength, I'd say, is the front 7. They've got all-pro caliber guys. They are really disciplined. Mike Vrabel, he coaches the defense, and he's always been a defensive-minded coach. And we see that this year. With guys like Christian Barmore and Robert Spillane, that front 7 is just so disciplined. They never get out of their areas when it comes to fakes. They're never undisciplined. They never really jump off sides. They're disciplined on RPOs and play actions, and they contain the quarterback well, and they swarm to the football. That interior defensive line, which we talked a little bit about earlier with Christian Barmore, they make tackles, and they don't let you run the football well. This was a great defense in the regular season. This is one of the best in the NFL, top 10 defense. And so what's so interesting about this game, when I think about it, is how elite both of these football teams really are. Both of their offenses and both of their defenses have been some of the best in the NFL, and that's the first time that's happened in a while. And it always turns out for a great game, and I just can't wait for this game. You just have a feeling and you have a sense that it's going to come down to the wire, that it's going to be who can get it done, which quarterback can get it done, and when their team needs it the most, which defense can make a play, who can be more disciplined. It's just strength versus strength versus strength versus strength, and I can't wait for it. Weaknesses for the Patriots, well, it's their offensive line. It's their offensive line, and led by Will Campbell. He struggled this season. The rookie from LSU, he has really struggled, and this was a concern coming into the season. How would he play? Obviously, he had that famous quote, saying, I'll die for my quarterback. I'll die to protect my quarterback. Well, he hasn't protected him. He has not done great throughout the season, and the worst part is he's gotten beat not by finesse and not by swim moves, but by power. Will Campbell was one of the strongest offensive linemen, seemingly, but he's gotten beat by just strong defensive linemen who have just overpowered him, and that's something that certainly the Seahawks are going to go after. We talked about that. The Seahawks pass rush, isn't necessarily great, but Mike Macdonald knows how to scheme, and he's going to go after Will Campbell. And the rest of the offensive line, hasn't exactly been elite either. Obviously, they have Michael Wenwu, who's been really good, but other than that, it hasn't been a great offensive line. They've given up the 9th most sacks in the NFL, and so that's a glaring weakness for the Patriots. That's something that the Seahawks don't have. The Seahawks don't have something that is as glaring as the offensive line. The really only thing you can say is, maybe the turnovers for the Seahawks. But other than that, the offensive line for the Patriots is probably the biggest weakness out of any team in this game and out of any point in this game. But what's been interesting is how elite their offense has been. Despite their weaknesses in the offensive line, they've still been able to run the ball. They've still been able to pass the ball. They've still been able to score touchdowns and win games, and it's really interesting. But if the Seahawks can get after Drake May, it's going to be a tough day for the Patriots. And so let's talk each team's keys to victory. For the Seahawks, and I'll give 3 for each team. For the Seahawks, firstly, it's taking care of the football. They've got to take care of the football in this game. They haven't turned the ball over in the playoffs, but they have had a tendency throughout the regular season to do it. They have fumbled the ball. They have thrown interceptions. They have to take care of the football because if you give the Patriots a short field, they're going to take advantage of it. Drake May is going to take advantage of it. Mike Vrabel loves to play the clock game and the field position game, and so if you give him good field position, they're going to dice you. And so I think one of the biggest things that Mike Macdonald is going to drill into his offense's head is to take care of the football. They've got to be smart with it, but at the same time, they've got to be who they are. And that's one of the tensions you have to deal with when you're a good football team. How do you be who you are, but at the same time, be smart? And so that's the balance that the Seahawks are going to find. Another key to victory for Seattle is get the ball to Jackson Smith and Jigba. It's just as simple as that. If you can just get the ball in his hands, if you can get him 10 receptions, well, he's going to have a game. He's going to have a game. He is too explosive. He is too good. He is too resilient. He has too good of hands. If you can get him the ball, he's going to make plays, and he's going to score you touchdowns. And there's a possibility that if the Seahawks win, that JSN is the MVP. You think about like Cooper Kupp for the Rams when they were back in the Super Bowl, when they played the Bengals. It's that type of season for JSN, and it's that type of impact that Jackson Smith and Jigba can have. So they've got to get the ball to him. And the third key to victory, we talked about it, but pressuring Drake May. Drake May, as good as he's been, when there's pressure in his face, he has a tendency to step up in the pocket and fumble the football, especially throughout the playoffs. And I know there's been bad weather, but he's had that tendency. And the offensive line, obviously, for the Patriots, hasn't been great. And so, if Mike Macdonald can scheme up ways to confuse Drake May and to get into his face and to pressure him and to overwhelm Will Campbell on the left side of the Patriots offensive line, it's going to be a tough day, not only running the football, but passing the football. And I think the Patriots know that, but obviously, that's the key to victory for the Seahawks. If they can do that, I think if they can do 2 of these 3 things, it's a victory for Seattle. And the Patriots' keys to victory, well, 1, it's let Drake May facilitate. Let Drake May be exactly who he is. Let Drake May be who he's been all season long. And that's Superman. I keep talking about it because it's really incredible. But he's just been so spectacular all season long. And so they've got to find ways to get him comfortable early. That means, throwing outside the numbers, getting quick passes early, running the football, being on time, not being late in the clock, in the play clock. They've got to be able to win first down. And so if they can get like second and mediums, if they can get second and short and let him be who he is, get him out of structure, well, that's when he plays best. You think about the Broncos game and even the Chargers game, once he got comfortable, there's no stopping him. And so they've got to let him get comfortable, and it's got to be early. Because if they go down by a lot, or if they go down early, if they go down early and then, Drake May is starting to be uncomfortable and they're starting to pressure the quarterback, well, it's going to be hard for the Patriots. And so one of their keys to victory, they've got to let Drake May facilitate. Secondly, it's confusing Sam Darnold and Clint Kubiak, their offensive coordinator. Again, Sam Darnold led the NFL with turnovers as a quarterback this season. And so Mike Vrabel does a really good job of disguising coverages, and he does a really good job of adjusting defensively. He knows the tendencies that the offense wants, and he knows how to counter them. And so if he can do that in this game, if he can confuse and show different looks to Sam Darnold, and if he can force an interception or force a fumble and make Clint Kubiak, call timeouts and second guess what he's calling, and if the Seahawks start to get a little bit conservative, well, that's a win for the Patriots. And then Drake May can start to get comfortable. And so they've got to confuse Sam Darnold. They've got to confuse him early. They've got to keep switching up looks, switching up pressures, stunts, blitzes, everything. Simulated pressures. They've got to throw it all at Sam Darnold. Because Sam Darnold is the key to the Seahawks offense. If he has a good game, they have a good game. If he has a bad game, they have a bad game. They've got to confuse him. And the third thing, Patriots' key to victory is to control the clock. Mike Vrabel, he wants to control the clock. He wants to play it slow. The Seahawks want to play fast. They want to score a lot. They want to get their defense on the field. They want to create explosive plays. But if the Patriots can keep things in front of them, if they can control the clock, if they can just wind it down and score and run the ball and be physical, that's not the Seahawks' game. And that will throw them off of their game. And if you can keep Sam Darnold on the sideline, I'm thinking about long 15-play, 14-play drives for the Patriots. If they can do that and then score and then get their defense off the field quick, it's going to be really hard for the Seahawks to win. And so controlling the clock is another key to victory for the Patriots. So the Seahawks and the Patriots meet again in the Super Bowl. I hope this was informative. I hope you appreciated this episode. I certainly did. I can't wait for this game. I think it's going to be a great one. As I said, I'm not going to pick it right now, but I think there are so many intricate details that can go into this one, and I can't wait to watch it just as a fan. And, what a season it's been, and what a way to end the football season. It's sad that it's coming to an end, but folks, we've got so much content that's going to come out, and we've got more time now. I'm back healthy, even though it might not sound like it in my voice, but I am healthy. And, enjoy the game. Everybody, we're going to be back probably after the game, maybe before, but soon in the next week or so with a mock draft, and I hope you guys enjoy that. So we're going to have some more NFL content. As I said, hopefully we're going to get some college basketball stuff going on. But folks, enjoy the Super Bowl. Hug your loved ones tight. Enjoy the time with them. Have a good time. Be safe. And the Super Bowl on Sunday, February 6th at Santa Clara. I hope you guys enjoy it between the Patriots and the Seahawks.